and welcome to today's YouTube episode. On today's sewing adventure I'm going to be embroidering a lovely floral pattern on some shoes that I have been delivered from VIVAIA shoes, and I'll be showing you that process. So let's get started. So as I said, I have been gifted 2 pairs of shoes and a pair of boots from the amazing VIVAIA shoes. And what I'm going to do in today's YouTube episode is I'm going to embroider a design onto one of the pair of shoes. And I'm also going to be opening the shoes and showing them to you and sharing that with you. I do have some more information about the shoes, but we'll get onto that later in the clip. So what I want to do now is I want to start by showing you what's inside each of the boxes. So I was able to choose 3 pairs of footwear in exchange for today's YouTube clip. So these were sent to me for free, and as you can see they're in lovely boxes. One thing I really like about the VIVAIA shoes is that they are made from recycled plastic, so I think that that's really great. And obviously we know that we have an issue with plastics in the environment, so the more plastic we can take out of the environment, the better. So the first pair of shoes I decided to choose was these ones. These are just some lovely flat shoes, and as you can see they're two-toned, so they've got this lovely beige with the black toe. So that was the first pair of shoes that I decided to choose. I'll move quickly on to the second pair, and this is the pair that I will be embroidering my design onto. So this is a lovely pair of red Mary Jane flat shoes. Really excited about these ones. So I do have a little plan, which I'll get to soon, of what I'm going to embroider on these shoes. So obviously I've got 2, and they're just plain Mary Jane flats. So we'll have a look at them in a minute. The last pair, as I said, was a pair of boots. So I decided to choose these boots here. So they are black boots, super practical, kind of ankle style boots with the zip at the back. And all of the shoes are made from the recycled plastic bottles, and I can't wait to try them on. I did actually have an idea of how I might embroider. This is a slightly bigger surface area to embroider onto, so maybe in the future I might embroider onto here, but for today I'm going to be using the lovely little Mary Jane flat shoes. So they were the 3 pairs of shoes, or 2 pairs of shoes and 1 pair of boots that I decided to choose. So the threads that I have chosen to embroider my pattern are these ones. These are also gifted. These are the Aurifil 12 weight threads, and I'm going to be creating a rose and leaf design on the shoe. So these are the ones that I have chosen to use, and we'll get started making that as soon as we can. So as you can see, I have got everything here set up ready for the embroidery. I've got the 2 pairs of shoes. I'm going to start by embroidering on this section of the right shoe. As I said, I'm going to embroider a rose pattern, so I will be showing you how I do that. So I'm just going to start actually with a single thread. And I hope this works because I haven't tried it yet. And I kind of want my rose to be positioned about here. So I'm going to go up here with my needle. It's quite interesting, the weave. You can see it. So the weave on the shoes is actually really beautiful, and they are waterproof as well, which is fantastic. The other thing which I really love about these, just before I do the stitching, is you can fully pack them in. So they're actually really flexible, the soles. Obviously the boots aren't the same, but the other flats are, so you can kind of tuck them right in. And then if you're packing them for holiday, or you're going away for the evening, or you know, even after work you want to wear some kind of more comfortable shoes, you can pop those ones in your bag and they won't take up loads of space. So I cycle a lot, and quite often I will cycle in trainers. And these shoes I can see would be really good to wear at work, because obviously I can put them in my work bag when I'm cycling. They won't take up much space, they're not very heavy, and then if it rains or something on the way to work, it doesn't matter. I've got a nice dry pair of shoes in my bag. So I'm just going to set this one up and I'll show you what it looks like once I'm finished. Okay, so for the type of rose I want to create, I want a 5-pointed kind of star like this one. It was quite easy to embroider actually, if you're thinking about doing this yourself, if you want to have a go, maybe at buying these shoes. I will have a code for a 12% discount that I will share later in the clip if you feel like doing that. It was a little bit tricky to tie it off at the end, but what I did was I just kind of brought the thread over to here, as you can see, and then I kind of went into the fabric. It's a really tight weave there 3 times, and then cut it off. So the stitches are feeling really secure, which is what we want, and I'll be able to show you the next part of making the rose. So for the next part of this process, what I have done is I have threaded up the needle, and I have actually got 3 strands of thread on this needle. So I have got 2 pale pink and 1 magenta, and that's what's going to create the pattern for our rose. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up as close as I can to the center of the rose with my needle. Oh my goodness, it's quite tricky to pull in. Luckily we only have to pull it in and out twice. The reason why I've chosen this technique to make the rose is because you don't have to, obviously you have to put the needle up and down a few times for this, but on the whole it's mostly worked on the surface. So for embroidering something like a shoe, I think that that's like quite a good thing really, because it's such a small little area in here, you don't want to have to be going in and out too much. So to make our rose now, what we do is we go underneath the first strand, and we don't want to catch any of that thread, we want the needle to be loose in there. So we go underneath that first strand and pull it tight, and then we want to go over this second strand, and then we want the needle to go underneath that third strand. So it's basically weaving around the strands. So because it's a bit tricky, normally I wouldn't do this, but because it's a bit tricky, if I go backwards with my needle, then the sharp end of that needle is not going to pick up, oh my goodness, so many obstacles, then the sharp end of my needle is not going to pick up any of these threads or any of the shoe fabric. So I don't know how much you can see of that, but I've gone under the first thread, over the second thread, under the third, obviously I'm going to go over the fourth, and with the back end of my needle I'm going to go under the fifth, pull it out, and then that creates the basis of the weave. So now you can see this first one I went under, but this time I'm going to go over it and under the one next to it, and that forms the basis of the weave. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to carry on with that, and I'll show you what it looks like once I've finished. So as you can see, that design is starting to fill up nicely now, and what I really like about it, the reason why I chose the different color threads is because it kind of gives the rose just that little bit extra kind of texture and interest, so it's not just all the same color threads. So it's starting to look good. I'm going to keep going until all of these cream lines, remember how we did the 5 points at the beginning, I'm going to keep going until they have all completely disappeared, and I will show you once it's finished. So as you can see now, I have completely filled up these little white star bits that we started with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to the edge of one of the 5 points. I'm going to put the needle down, and I'm going to pull it right through the other side, which might be a bit tricky because of all the thick threads that we had. This is why I didn't want to work too much from the front to the back, because it is actually quite tricky to pull through. especially, well, when it was just the single layer, it was much easier actually, but now that there's 3 layers, it's a bit more tricky. So there you can see there's our beautiful rose, and I will be adding some leaves to it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how that's looking actually, and I think that's just added a really sweet little detail to already a sweet little shoe. So I'm going to finish this one off. Remember what I did last time, and it might be a bit more tricky this time because the threads are thicker, is I just brought the threads through. I just turned the shoe over a little bit away from where the threads came out the back, and I just pulled the threads through, and then I will tie off in a knot. So you can see I've brought that a little bit away from where obviously I've gone through for the rose, just because it's more difficult to kind of get through over by the rose, because there's, you know, you've got to get right in there. And then I'm just going to do a couple more to secure off, and then it will be done. And that's all feeling nice and secure under there. So that's good. So the rose is done. So now we're going to move on to making little leaves to go around it. So we are now here, and I'm ready to do my leaves. My leaves are obviously going to be in green. I have a single thread now, which will be much easier to kind of maneuver and get in and out. So I'm going to do one leaf here next to the rose. So I'm going to bring my needle up through the bottom to the top. I'm going to be doing a chain stitch for the leaves. So what I do is I want, for my chain stitch, I want to put my needle very close, if not in the same hole that I did coming up. So I'm putting it very close. As you can see, I'm going to pull down, and then for the chain stitch we want to create kind of a little loop here, like that, and you can see already that looks quite cute, like a little leaf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my needle up whichever length I want the leaf. I think that would be a cute length for the leaf. I'm going to put my needle up there, and I'm going to be really careful that it goes through that loop. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it, and then I'm going to very closely put my needle back through, and as you can see I have made a little daisy chain leaf shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few more of them around, maybe some on this side, some on this side, maybe even down here. So I will definitely put some more leaves around, and then that little design will be finished. So here are the finished shoes. I am just adding it to one side because I think that that is super cute, and I quite like things that don't match perfectly. I think more than that it might be a bit too much, so I can't wait to wear these. I think that's just given them a little cute little lift, and obviously that was quite simple. It really didn't take too long, and you could definitely add this to your own shoes as well. I hope you found the tutorial really useful, and it would give you the confidence to have a go at embellishing some of your own shoes. In the future, I would really like to do more tutorials like this, embellishing shoes. The VIVAIA shoes are really good, obviously, a good place to start because they have this really wonderful structure to them. So as I said, there is a 12% off discount in the descriptions box below if you wanted to buy some and have a go. I would love to see what you made. You could definitely let me know what you've made. I would absolutely really love to see that if you do decide to make some for yourself as well. So I have already mentioned many great points about these shoes, the fact that they are waterproof, the fact that they are kind of really compact if you need them to be, the fact that you can put them in the washing machine to wash them. But just specifically for each item, I'm just going to go through with a few more pointers. So they have a really comfortable insole on all of the shoes. They have rubber underneath. These ones are wider than average across the width of the foot, and they have a little bit of stretch across here too for extra added comfort. They also have this really comfortable kind of padding at the back, which when I usually wear shoes like this, they don't always have that, and they can actually dig in quite a lot, so that makes them super comfortable as well. In terms of the Mary Jane flats, they are very similar. They've got all the same features with the insole, obviously collapsible, washable, recycled, but see this lovely strap here? You can actually loosen and tighten the strap however you need, because there's so many holes in it. It's basically, I don't know how it's constructed actually, it might be even crocheted, but you can see that it's got all of those holes, so you can have it as tight or as loose as you want, because they extend the full length of that band. Obviously this lovely width across here, which is really helpful too, and again super comfortable, and a nice square toe, which is great as well. Moving on to the boots, they are super warm. This fabric is, I don't know if you can see the texture, it's kind of a ribbed texture, but they are stretchy, they are warm, they are waterproof. They do have a clunky sole, that's quite nice for a pair of boots, and then obviously the easy zip up the back, so they're easy to put on and take off, again with the lovely width and the square toe. So just a few more points about the boots and the shoes that I thought I would share with you. They are obviously really lovely. So I know that I've given you lots of technical points about the shoes, but I just thought that I would quickly say that on a personal level, they are actually really comfortable. They do have this insole in them, which is super padded and actually provides a lot of support for your feet. I teach a lot, so I stand a lot. I've been wearing them for over a week and my feet haven't been uncomfortable at all. I thought the heel on the boot might get a little bit uncomfortable over time, but it was fine. I think the padding in the soles of the insoles is so comfortable that it was fine. So yeah, so really comfy shoes, and I've really been enjoying wearing them over the past week. And just before we go, I thought I'd let you know what I'm wearing today. Today I am wearing the Wildergown by Friday Pattern Company. This is a gorgeous pattern. I love it. It's the super long one. You should have been able to see it in some of the photos when I was trying on the shoes and the boots. It is really lovely to wear. It is made in a viscose and Atelier Brunette viscose. And I love this one. It's beautiful autumn colours, and I decided to tie a lovely little red ribbon on rather than make the tie band around the neck. So that is it for today's YouTube episode. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial on how to create the rose on the shoes. Let me know what you think in the comments box below. If you could like this clip, I would really appreciate that. That would be really wonderful. Also, if you are already a subscriber to this channel, then thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you, and it's wonderful to have you back here watching my clips when I release them. It really is wonderful. If you haven't yet subscribed, then I would really appreciate it if you could click on the subscribe button. It means that you will be notified when I release my next clips. I hope you have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you, and I will see you here again soon.